Assalamu alaikum students, how are you all? I hope you all must be very well. We are just starting with our next lecture, the second lecture of this online series of lectures. I'm your teacher, Rana Tahir Mahmood, and the course we are studying through this semester is English language, particularly English composition and comprehension. Let's have quickly a brief review of the previous lecture that we had been through last week. Students, in the last class, we studied one of the most important topics of this course, and that was development of a paragraph and process writing. You all know very well that we studied it very thoroughly, discussing about all the main aspects of developing a paragraph that is of standard composition, some of the main components of developing a comprehensive and good paragraph, the process that is involved in developing a good paragraph, and some other elements regarding that. And in process writing, we also studied there is a whole process that is involved whenever we are writing a composition, and particularly paragraph development. If you would like to come up with something which is of standard, there is a process that is suggested by linguists, and we have thoroughly been through starting with thinking process, then brainstorming, then just writing down certain points, then organizing, and then drafting, and then reviewing, editing, finalizing. So that was the whole process that was involved, and the people who know about that and they have good communication skills in terms of knowing the basic structures of language, they have a good number of vocabulary, they may come up with any of composition on any of the general topics for academic purpose. Today's lecture is mainly based on, and even I would say rather, the continuation of the previous topic that we had studied. But somehow it is a bit different in some ways, and that is the reason we would like to see through all those different aspects. So today we will be studying about the principles of academic writing, or what constitutes to write good English. Dear students, you must be thinking about this question, that what does it stand for as good English? The English we know, the English that is used by the native speakers, the English that is used by the learned or the scholarly people. What is the English that is known as good English? There are people who communicate in English, who write in English in different ways, but which language is categorized as good English, particularly in the context of writing compositions? Please be very much clear about that we are confining ourselves, we are restricting ourselves to composition. English that is used, the version of English that is suitable, the version of English that is appropriate, the version of English that is accurate, and the version of English that is effective, particularly dealing with compositions. And we all know very well composition is the written discourse where you, particularly as a student, write in different situations, the stage you are going through or the phase of life you are going through, that is the academic phase of your life, where you'll be writing for certain academic purposes. So you must be well aware of all those essentials or the fundamental principles which are suitable for writing for academic purpose. As I mentioned earlier, that today's topic is the continuation of our previous topic, and it is a bit relevant and related to our topic that we studied earlier. I just would like to say, as you must have seen in the document that I've been sharing with you people, it states very clearly successful academic writing involves the ability to incorporate the following concepts in your writing. It means the people, as a student, who are well aware of all these following concepts, they may come up with a piece of composition which is or which can be categorized as good English. I hope you must have understood all what I have said in this introduction of this lecture. You must see there is a picture which is somehow connected to each other. There is a word that states as cohesion, then there is a clarity, there comes another, block, which is again connected with that one, which is the logical order. There comes consistency, unity, conciseness, completeness. Knowing the in-depth meaning and understanding of all these terminologies which are used by the linguists is very much important for each one of you, because you will be writing compositions for academic purpose and later on for some official purposes. If you know them very well, I guarantee you will be able to write a composition which is known as standard or good composition. I hope you all must be going along with me, since as I mentioned earlier in my previous class that it is something quite different while teaching to the people who are not there in the presence of the facility, in front of the facilitator. However, believing that there are people who are on the other side and they are listening vigorously, patiently. I believe once you will be listening this, you must feel like, see, I'm there with you. Because I keep this like people are there sitting in front of me. Although this session is lacking in one thing, that is the discussion. But no problem, as we discussed earlier, our lecture was recorded and then sent forth to you people. You all had been through, I don't know exactly the number of people who had been through the lecture, but I believe a great number of people must have been through all the lecture I have sent you earlier. And later on, we will be having our online session tomorrow, when you people will come up with a lot of questions. This is what I expect from each one of you. Because asking a question is half knowing. And I also believe once you go through this document and this recorded lecture, you must have certain questions, which I will try my best to facilitate you in every possible manner. So let's see through this terminology that is used, cohesion, in the context of composition. Please keep this in your mind. I'm reinforcing my words. As I mentioned earlier, We are looking through these terminologies in the context of composition development. Whenever we write a write-up, a paragraph at this stage, later on you will be writing lengthy compositions, which are also known as essays. And then comes to writing emails and letters, which are formal or informal, right? And there are other piece of writings as well. But here till now, we have restricted ourselves to one of the types of composition, which is the basics of all compositions. And this is paragraphing. Knowing the art of paragraphing leads a person to develop a very comprehensive, compact, and standard essay on any topic. So I believe development of paragraph is the soul of any composition. So you must keep my words in your mind. Let's look into cohesion in the context of paragraph development. This is a smooth movement or flow between sentences in paragraphs. We studied earlier like a paragraph contains a number of well-connected sentences. If they are not well-connected, means there is no logical flow, there is no transition that will feel or appear as indifferent, odds. And the reader may not go along with the paragraph after reading through a few sentences. That is something inappropriate. So we must keep it in our mind that I need to bring cohesion in my composition. How can we bring it? That is another very interesting question. We must confine ourselves to the topic that we have started with. Like say in our previous class we studied, we start off our composition with the topic sentence. So bringing cohesion is like see keeping ourselves to the main point, to the main topic. And there comes some transitional words like connection or connecting words, which are also known as connectors. I will be showing you some documents where you will see like how this composition flows smoothly. There is a transition of sentences and the reader may not feel any interruption. And that is to be achieved. And this can only be achieved once we know this. The second concept, the second terminology that is used and we must be well aware is clarity. You know, something which is not clear obviously will not lead an effect or leave an effect to the reader. So there must be clear. And how can we bring clarity in our composition? The first thing is that we must be very much clear about the topic we are writing about. We are writing about on this topic, so we have to restrict ourselves to the topic we have suggested for writing. We have selected for writing. Nothing which is irrelevant to the topic. Things will be clear. So once you are clear about, then you will only be able to communicate your message to the receiver with clarity. A lot of clarity. So keep in your mind before writing any composition, you must be very much selective about the topic that you have decided to write something, to pen down some words on the topic. There comes once you are very much clear. There is another terminology which is used, logical order. Like see, if things are haphazard, you know, it doesn't impress the other people. Same goes with compositions, like if there is no proper arrangement of all your ideas, what comes in the beginning must come in the beginning. What should come towards the middle of your composition, it must be placed at its proper placement. Something that is to be used towards the end, while like see you're concluding something. So the concluding part must come towards the end of your conversation. This is what we call it a logical order, an organization. I can give you certain other examples, like if you are writing about how did you spend your day yesterday? How did you spend your day yesterday? Uh, you must keep it in your mind that you must starting with your day when you might woke up early in the morning and then you went for a shower, and then you must, or you might have a breakfast, and this is how the day went. You know, things is starting from the first point, the initial point, and this is how it will go on. So keep this in your mind that all your information must move along in a logical manner. There comes consistency, which is another word, terminology that is used, and we must be well aware of it. The word derived from the word consistent. Uh, just wait for a while. I need to attend a phone call, please. We are just starting after a while. Mahinder? Okay, students, I'm back again. Sorry for this interruption. We are human beings and there are certain other things, but this might be known as or called as noise, as we studied earlier. So what consistency stand for? It refers to uniformity of writing style. For example, if there is a problem on this page, in that cohesion and clarity are defined in a note form, which is incomplete sentences, whereas consistency and unity are defined in complete sentences. The writer should be consistent, either use note form or complete sentence. The principle of parallelism also exemplifies consistency. The same grammatical structure should be consistently used in a list. Now you must have understood something about consistency. While you are writing something about, if you have decided to write something in the form of notes, so every word you are inking with must be written in the note form, then it will be called as a consistent form, a consistent style. Or if you have decided to write about something in the style of writing sentences, so they all shall be written in the form of sentences. This is one way. Consistency can also be applied to restricting yourself to the specific topic that you have selected for your conversation. You're consistently writing about the same. Just to give you an example, like you want to talk about your experience of visiting a hospital during COVID-19. You started with writing that when you visited, how did you find there? What was the plight of the people? How people were being treated? The attitude, the atmosphere, the environment, the facilities, and everything that you did observe over there. You started with this, and in the meantime, then you started with writing about shopping. Like, see, you started writing about your visit to a hospital during COVID-19 and something that you have observed over there. It has nothing relevant to shopping. Your experience of shopping might be talked about or written about later differently. But if you have mix up two indifferent topics at one place, your composition will become inconsistent. And that is something incorrect, inaccurate. After consistency, we applied another word that is used or that is known as unity. This is somehow relevant to consistency. At its simplest, unity refers to the exclusion of information that does not directly relate to the topic being discussed. Good writing quickly gets to the point and eliminates unnecessary words, needless repetition, that is also known as redundancy or dead words. The exclusion of unnecessary information promotes unity and cohesion. So unity, we also use like in a form of phrase, unity of ideas. So the topic you have selected, you're writing about, you must confine yourself. You must be writing about the same topic throughout your paragraph. That is also applied unity of tense, means the verb forms you are using. As I mentioned earlier, if you're writing about your visit to a hospital that you visited yesterday, so unity of tense will be applied like, see, every verb must belong to the past tense. Because it's something that you are narrating about, something that you had experienced in the past. It has no connectivity with the present. So the proper form of the verb which are to be applied must be relating, relevant to the past only. And if you refer to something like, see, your aims, aspiration, your hopes, your desires, you're planning for something in the future, so your style might refer to, like, say, unity of thoughts. And as far as unity of tense is concerned, you might talk about in the present with certain modal auxiliaries, like, or something you wish for and something that you aim for, something that you are looking at after some time. So it is, yes, present can be interconnected with the future because present is also connected with the future. Something you are doing right now for the achievement of something that you hope for in the future. Obviously, present is well connected and should be connected with the future. There comes another word which is very comprehensive in meaning, completeness. What does it stand for? While repetitive or unnecessary information must be eliminated. We eliminate, exclude something which is repetitive and something which is unnecessary. But the writer has a responsibility to provide essential information in a compact manner. Compact manner means something which is needful, something which should be a part of that information. Like, see, somebody has asked you about the address for a place, and you just say that, see, just move in this direction and then move along on the other. without explaining the right direction, without naming something, then it will be very much difficult just to reach to the destined place. So the information you put forward, the information you would like to share, the information you write down about, it must be complete. Everything that is needed, everything which should be a part that makes your topic complete. So after reading your composition, the reader may never feel like there is something which is missing. I just would like to give you one more example. If you would like to write about a letter of request to your head of the department, like during examination, you fall sick for some reason and you are not in a position to attend your papers. There is no other option. You have to either be in the examination or you can quit the semester, which is again a very big loss for you. So what you decided just to put forward a request to the concerned department, the head of the department, requesting that what is the condition, the health condition of you, which does not allow you to be a part of the examination, taking your examination, and providing every detail, like see what has happened with certain documents, which are supportive documents, like see the recommendation of your doctors. This will be very much supportive and will help you take the advantage from the concerned department. Providing each and everything will definitely make you able to take a permission from the concerned department. What if you only mention, like say you are feeling sick these days and you are unable to attend your classes? So this much information is not quite compact. It's not complete. Hence, what will be the result? You know, the purpose of writing is to avail a grant, a relaxation, and the result will be consequently providing incomplete information to the concerned person. You will not be able to take anything for granted. So remember this point, whenever you develop a composition, you must keep in your mind that everything must be complete. Whatever you write about, everything which is relevant, which is to the point, which is needful, you must have to pen down. You must have to keep it or make it a part of your composition. There comes variety. You know, variety helps the reader by adding some spice to the text. And it can only be achieved in part by using various methods of joining ideas. In addition to constructing sentences of various types of lengths and lengths, the writer should use synonyms when possible. This is again very wide in nature. Variety, in a sense, in the context of using vocabulary, the words we are using, like see, there must not be repetition of the same word. Let me give you an example. You want to talk about something like today, and you say, today is a good day. And then you would say, the weather is also very good. And then again you say, I'm feeling good. Although grammatically there is no problem while using the word good, but see, there is no variety. The listener or the reader may feel bored because there is a repetition of the same word. So the vocabulary you're using, there must be spice or variety in the words you're using. Secondly, you know, the sentence structure you're applying, again, there must be variation in the structure you're applying. It shall not be the same. Like the same sentence structure you are applying throughout your composition, whatever sentences you are composing, that will again make your writing bored. So keep in your mind, the structure must be changed. And as we discussed earlier, the sentence structure we use, one is with reference to their meaning, the other is with reference to their structure. So while dealing with the structure of sentences, there are sometimes sentences which are simple, sometimes which are compound. Sometimes we come up with complex sentences and compound complex sentences. This depends that where should I use this part and which one is to be applied. But in a composition, there must be, or it must be a blend of multiple structure of sentences. Let's move on to the next one, which is formalities. Particularly dealing with formal writings or academic writings, they are formal composition, and the tone and register of your composition must also be formal. Tone is referred to the style of writing, developing a composition, and the register is meant for the overall use of your language. And both the things are very much important. We must be well aware of both of them. Sometimes our tone is blaming, sometimes our tone is requesting, at times our tone is persuasive. So depending the situation you are writing in, the purpose you are writing for, and something that you would like to achieve after that or while writing that composition, you must keep it in your mind, and the style which you feel is appropriate, you have to adopt that style. It means that sophisticated vocabulary and grammatical structures are used, and in addition, the use of pronouns such as I and contractions are avoided. Formal writings, mainly, we don't prefer using I, and contractions is meant for using incomplete expressions. Although in interaction, informal interaction, or while having a one-on-one conversation with the people, or writing informally, we use contractions, which are very much fit to the situation. But in formal writings, contractions are to be avoided. Students, whatever we have been through till now, that was all about the certain aspects of developing standard composition, particularly in the context of writing, developing paragraphs. If you know about all these aspects and keeping all of them in your mind while writing or developing any composition, I believe you will come up with a piece of composition which is suitable to the situation. We just would like to move towards the conclusion of this lecture. So conclusively, academic writings are generally assessed and rewarded if this is very important, and you people must keep it in your mind. I will show you this through certain writings as well. The very first point is the contents are relevant, reliable, valid, and in some cases, if imaginative. You're writing a composition for academic purpose. The contents of your composition must be relevant, reliable, valid. Sometimes there is a space of imagination, novelty, and there you can come up with your imaginative impulses. The second is on the basis of the use of English, and this aspect covers a wide range of knowledge over the use of English language, which can't be summed up, but the following are to be well understood. Standard formal choice of vocabulary, which is one of them, and this must be wide in range. Now see the word of the number of words, how can you increase it? And the only remedy is you have to read as much as possible. Every now and then you must read something in English. And every day you might come across with new words, just locate their meaning in a dictionary. Once you have been through a word that is written somewhere in any of the writings that you are reading through, and you have been through the meaning of that word, you don't need to remember or memorize the meaning of that word. By the next time you are reading something where you come across with the same word, all of a sudden your mind will make you aware that this is the word you had consulted a dictionary and that was the meaning of this word. So please, I would advise you enhance or improvise your vocabulary as much as possible. And the remedy I suggested you, read English as much as possible. There comes variety of sentences, sentence structure. This is what I discussed earlier as well. I just need to mention it here. The other point is in-depth understanding over the use of various forms and structures of verb. Like, just to give you an example, there are auxiliary verbs, which are again containing a number of words. Then there comes regular verbs and their forms. Then there are irregular ones. Then there are model auxiliary ones. So you must have a proper orientation of all of them, and you must know the forms of those verbs. You must know like in what situation, in what time, which word, which verb or the form of the verb is to be applied. The other is knowledge of discourse, marker, and cohesive devices. This is what I discussed earlier in the very beginning of this session. Discourse markers are meant for the linking words and phrases, whichever we apply and whichever are applied in English. They bring cohesion in your composition. The next is excellent understanding of the basics of grammar. I have intentionally used and emphasized the word excellent understanding, no less than excellent, of all these areas like articles and prepositions in particular, because they are used in every sentence almost. So you must have a proper and in-depth understanding of both of them. We studied them. I shared with you some worksheets and handouts on the same in our previous classes. Then comes good understanding of subject and verb agreement in context of sentence. That is one of the fundamentals and one of the most important principles of constructing good, effective, accurate, and appropriate sentence. Because in every sentence, these two parts are essential. They are to be observed in every sentence. If one is missing, the sentence is incomplete. Subject is to be there, and there must be some action or a state of action which is involved to the subject. And as far as this aspect of is concerned, both the subject and the verb you are using in a sentence, both should have some agreement. Like, just to give you one simple example, if there is a singular subject, the verb that is used should also be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. Last but not least, parallel sentence structure. Parallel stand for moving two lines that move towards in the same direction. This is I discussed with you with certain examples in our previous classes before the midterm exam in our early classes. And that means like a sentence must move in the same direction. Just to give you one example. You want to talk about the attributes or the qualities of a person. While talking about the attributes or the qualities of the person, the word which is suitable is an adjective word. If you are using more than one qualities of the person, then all the words you are using for that person to qualify him as like these are the distinctive features of that person. So you must be using all adjective words. Like Mr. X is a generous, kind, patient, and simple person. Now you must see, I have talked about Mr. X, the qualities Mr. X possesses, and I have qualified him by using 4 adjective words. And all the words, their forms, their part of speech is adjective. Okay, students. So that was all about this lecture. And I just would like to conclude it with a suggestion that you need to go through it one more time before our discussion on the same topic. And I believe that you must have a lot of questions which are to be discussed, and I would feel very much privileged if you put forward a number of questions on the same topic. So inshallah, see you soon on our online session by tomorrow. Till then, Allah Hafiz.